Alright, so I just got back from the ironing board and I pressed that shoulder seam open. And now we're going to go ahead and take our shirt sleeve piece, our actual sleeve to our shirt sleeve, and attach that with right sides together. Now this is going to seem very backwards for some of you. So what we have so far is we have our bodice here, but then we need to attach our sleeve into this armhole opening. So what we have to do is we have to place right sides together, and we have to actually place this curved edge with right side together, and there should be a notch right at the top, and that's where our shoulder seam is going to. We're going to line up this notch here at the top of our curve with right sides together, facing down, right on top of that shoulder seam. And we're going to go ahead and put a pin in there. And then what we're going to do, there should be a single notch on the front of your sleeve and a double notch on the back. And those should line up with the notches that are marked on your actual bodice piece. Here's my single notch on my bodice, so I'm going to want to match up my single notch here and put a pin in there. And this is going to be a lot of fabric manipulation because we're kind of joining two opposite curves together. An inward curve on that arm, like the armhole, also referred to as the arm sike, and then the outward curve of the sleeve. So as you hold this up, you're going to want to make sure that those raw edges are lined up, and just put in as many pins as you can. You might have to do some slight easing, which is small gathers along this sleeve piece to match up with the armhole opening, but hopefully not too much. Hopefully we can get this to match fairly decent here. Alright, and then I'm at to where my shoulder mark was, which was this purple pin here, and then I'm going to jump down to where my double notches are, and it looks like I have a little bit more opening. I don't think my notches are matching up. I must have had a pattern error. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my my back side, or my back seams, or my underarm, where my underarm matches my my side seam, I'm going to start there and kind of work my way back, making sure that all of these lines match up in between here. So it looks like my notches were just a little bit off, probably just a measuring error. And then I can see, typically on the back side of your sleeve and of the back side of your bodice, there's going to be more gathers that occur, and that's because if you think about the way that your arm rotates around and that rotor cuff moves, I know typically you're not going to be playing like baseball in a dress shirt, on a sleeve shirt, but you have a lot more movement that is going to occur on the back side of your bodice and the back side of your sleeve than on the front, just because the way that your body physically functions. You need to have that shoulder blade and that arm be able to move around in full motion. So that's why there's more room in the sleeve, so that your arm can physically move and rotate around. So as you can see, if I kind of give you a top view, I do have quite a few gathers that are happening here, and what I want to do is I just want to try to make them as even as possible, like it's as evenly spaced as possible, and just hold those in place with my pins. We don't really want to have any folds or pleats that occur here, but just very slight gathers. So put in as many pins as you need. Again, making sure that those raw edges are lined up along the top edge there. Alright, now what your book recommends, and I'm going to recommend this too just because this is our first sleeve that we're putting in, that it's going to be smart to go ahead and just do a basting stitch. So I'm getting out my hand sewing needle and thread, and I'm just going to make it one thread thickness when I go to do this hand sewing part. And I'm making a knot at the end, so one thread thick. And what I'm going to do, I think I need to put another pin in here, is I'm going to baste this in place. About 5/8 of an inch inward. I have some notches here on the side seam that kind of give me an estimate. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to be stitching right over this, but this basting stitch is really going to hold everything in place. So I'm going to try to do like even basting. So I'm going to start at the back, make sure that my knot catches, and then I'm just going to kind of do this basting stitch or this running stitch all along the length of this armhole sleeve. So you're just going to go in and out, trying to keep those gathers as they are, that easing as fairly flat as you can. What we're hoping that these gathers will do is that it will keep the fabric from pleating when we actually go ahead and stitch this down with our sewing machine. So just going to go ahead and put these basting stitches in. Again, fairly even basting. The more closer they are together, the more likely that fabric is going to stay in place when you go ahead and do that stitch line here in a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop the video so you guys don't have to watch me hand baste. And I'm just going to continue basting all the way down the rest of this armhole until I meet up with the other kind of the inside of the sleeve line, and where that meets up with the underarm side seam. So just continue basting and we'll pick it up here in a moment.